Good morning. I'm Moses Gaither Ganem, member of Eliot Chapel and worship leader for this service. Thank you for joining us on Zoom for our service. The church is closed because we don't want anyone on the roads in this weather. Hopefully you're all safe and sound and warm with a hot cup of coffee or tea. As we learned during the pandemic, we are strong and we are together. One body, one beloved community, united through our differences, no matter how we meet. Today's service is going to be shorter than usual because there will be no music. I hope that you will find this service meaningful and spiritually nourishing nonetheless. You can find the order of service in the link in the comments. That will help when we speak our congregational covenant, blessing the offering, our chalice extinguishing, and our benediction. Please join our online coffee hour at 1:30 p.m. The Zoom link was posted in the email sent out to members and friends this morning entitled Eliot Chapel on Zoom. We look forward to seeing you there. If you would like to be on our mailing list, please complete the guest form for future online coffee hours, also in the comments. If you are joining us for the first time, we are so glad you're here. If you have any questions about anything you experience in this service, you can email welcome@eliotchapel.org, and someone from our welcome team will be in touch with you. There is a link to the guest form in the comments section of the video, if you'd like to let us know you're here. Finally, every Sunday we share our offering with an organization in the community that shares our values. This is the last Sunday to support the Meacham Park Neighborhood Improvement Association. This is Kirkwood's predominantly Black community, and we have a long, trusting relationship with Meacham Park. Our support helps to fund scholarships to a back-to-school fair, summer camps, Christmas family support, and more. You will find the link to give in the comments section. Please make your contribution sometime during the service or after. Let us center ourselves with the ringing of the bell, a short moment of silence, and then join with me in our call to worship with the words, "You are welcome here." If you are Black, brown, white, indigenous, APIA, whatever your origins, you are welcome here. If you are an immigrant, a refugee, or a person without documentation, you are welcome here. If you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you have a disability, visible or invisible, or are neurodiverse, you are welcome here. If you have been here 100 times or just came here today, you are welcome here. If you want for nothing or struggle each day to make it through, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or what your gender identity, you are welcome here. For this is a community of diversity, of love, and of justice, and it is good to be together. Our chalice lighting comes from the Reverend Michelle Collins. Welcome to this place, a place where hope can be nourished. In a world that profits from despair, our gathering is a declaration of faith. We declare that joy still rises, that kindness still matters, that hope is not dead. We come to remember we are not alone. May our time together restore us to wonder, strengthen our resolve, and return us to the world as bearers of hope that sustains the work of resistance. In Unitarian Universalism, covenants are the agreements we make for who we want to be as a people. Please join me in speaking our congregational covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be, to listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and respectfully, to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Our wisdom story today is called One Drop at a Time. This version of it comes from Reverend Cameron Trimble. A long time ago, so the Quechua elders say, the forest caught fire. It spread quickly, flames leaping into the trees and thick smoke curling into the sky. The animals fled in every direction. Some ran, others flew. A few froze in place, unsure what to do. Eventually, they gathered at the edge of the woods, watching as everything they knew and loved was consumed. They were helpless in the face of destruction. All except for one. A tiny hummingbird flew to a nearby stream, picked up a single drop of water in its beak, and returned to release it over the fire. Then it turned back, flew again to the stream, gathered another drop, and returned. Over and over, the hummingbird made its journey. The other animals watched in disbelief. They called out to the hummingbird, "What are you doing? You can't stop the fire with just a few drops of water." The hummingbird paused in the air and replied, "I'm doing what I can." There is something quiet, yet deeply moving about the hummingbird's choice. She didn't wait until she had a better plan. She didn't pause to calculate the odds of success. She didn't look around for approval. She simply began. Right now, many of us are standing at the edge of our own burning forests. We are watching the systems we trusted unravel. We see political institutions falter, environmental collapse accelerate, and communities torn apart by division, fear, and disinformation. The scope of suffering can feel overwhelming. It's tempting to believe we are too small to make a difference. This story invites us to rethink what it means to respond in times of crisis. The hummingbird did not act because she believed her effort would be enough. She acted because integrity required her to do something. It is easy to become paralyzed by the scale of the world's need, but we don't have to fix everything to be faithful. We are each called to offer what we can, to take our drop of water and carry it toward the fire. Your voice matters. Your effort matters. Your care matters. Not because it will stop the fire on its own, but because the world is held together by people who refuse to stand by and watch it burn. Please join me in singing our children's recessional. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Today's prayer is from the Reverend Michelle Collins. Let us enter into the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of connections and love, bless the many ways we resist. Those who march and organize, those who cook, donate, and write, those who tend to the weary, who pray or hold vigil, those who say, "Rest now, I'll take this shift." Let this wide circle honor every offering, visible or unseen. May we release the myths that define resistance in certain ways, and remember instead the truth of shared power. Let us enter into a time of silence. Let us speak the names of those we would hold in prayer. May this be our prayer. To sustain one another's courage until quiet faith and public fire become one movement of love. Amen, and blessed be. When we think of political resistance, we often think of big actions like protesting in the streets, organizing boycotts, and bringing petitions to Congress. And while resistance certainly can and does look this way, author Satya Doyle Byock suggests to us that it can look many other ways too. In her article, The Archetypes of Resistance, she lays out 20 distinct archetypes that can help illustrate the many shapes resistance can take. An archetype, to remind ourselves of the definition, is an original pattern or model for which all things of the same type are simply copies or representations. It is the prototypical example of something. In literature, an archetype is a recurring motif or character template that occurs across stories or cultures. For example, the hero and the villain, the fool and the elder. Psychologist Carl Jung thought we as human beings inherited these archetypes from our ancestors' collective experience, and that they live in our subconscious, influencing our experience of ourselves and filtering our perception of reality. Satya Doyle Byock looks at her archetypes of resistance as ancient roles that embody the enduring work of transformation, peace, equality, and freedom. They are roles that remind us that resistance can have many faces and help us to see ourselves in roles of resistance more clearly. You can find the link to her article in the comments and on your order of service. Our message today comes in the form of 3 reflections from members of our congregation on the archetypes that most reflect their lived experience. Each will share how they embody their archetype or archetypes and what they have learned from taking this role. We start with Sarah Fleming.
Hi, friends. My name is Sarah Fleming, and I have been coming to Eliot Chapel for about 21 years. Throughout those years, I have served Eliot in various ways, including being part of the Board of Trustees, the Madrigal, the Spark Group, Welcome Team, Nominating Committee, Trivia Night Fun Team, Pledge Drive, and a bunch more. But one other way that I show up for Eliot is by bringing snacks for coffee hour most Sundays. I'm a big fan of snacks. I do it because when there are little treats to enjoy, people hang out longer. And when people hang out longer, they chat. They get to know each other. They connect. They share stories. They bond. And those are the ingredients needed to truly form community. What I didn't realize until I read Satya's archetypes is that providing that nourishment is a form of resistance. Among Satya's resistance archetypes is the cook, where she describes, without physical and spiritual nourishment, we all wither. The cook is the person in the community at any scale, in a refugee camp, a restaurant, a church basement, or a home, providing food to sustain bodies and beings. The cook knows that alongside a shared meal is community and connection. Okay, so I may not actually be cooking, But I think having food around is important. Kids won't tug at parents to leave as early if there are donuts. If someone missed breakfast, maybe they need just a little bite to hold them over so they can enjoy coffee hour a little longer. I try to make sure there's gluten-free options for those who need it and fruit available for those eating a little healthier. And make sure there's some cheese for those who may be diabetic and don't want to grab a cookie or pastry. Because the longer we engage with one another, the more opportunity there is to have the deeper conversations, to make plans together, maybe going to a march or a book signing or collecting ballot signatures or volunteering with a local organization. Would I be so involved if Eliot was just a regular church? Would I give so much of my time and energy and grocery bill if all we did was gather to worship and then have our own closed off little community? Nope. Supporting Eliot means not only supporting our building and the people in it, but it's supporting all of the wonderful work we all do. The people of Eliot are truly out in the community doing the work, attending protests, gathering signatures, working with immigrants, stocking food pantries. So if I can provide a little bit of nourishment to help facilitate that even a little bit, then it is my honor to be part of such an amazing, dedicated, hardworking community. Thank you for all you do. Keep resisting.
Thank you, Sarah. And next we have Daniel Kynaston, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Moses. Good morning, everyone. I live at the overlap of two commitments that mean a great deal to me. I'm a grateful member of Eliot, and I'm also a practicing Buddhist. I share this congregation's vision for a just, equitable, and compassionate life, but I often see it through Buddhist eyes. Normally, living in both worlds feels seamless. These traditions share a trust in compassion, interdependence, and the possibility of transformation. But when it comes to the question of resistance, the Buddhist understanding proves to be extremely nuanced. In Buddhism, we're taught that suffering is more or less the desire for things to be different than they are. That desire is so often left unexamined, and as a result, we argue with reality, we harden, we close down, we cling to what we want and push away what we fear. In doing so, we generate suffering for ourselves and often for others. And that suffering arises because we resist. And yet, as a Unitarian Universalist, I'm deeply committed to the work of justice, to resisting harm, oppression, and dehumanization. So the question becomes, how do we resist without creating more suffering? I've come to believe that the way forward is by imagining resistance differently. What if resistance doesn't begin with opposition, but with grounding presence? What if the most transformative resistance starts not by pushing against reality, but by staying present to it? That became real for me one evening sitting with a friend who had unjustly lost their job. They were overwhelmed, angry, scared, and surprisingly drowning in self-blame. Every instinct in me wanted to jump in, to reassure them, to offer advice, to make the moment feel better for them and for me. But instead, I stayed. I listened. I let the discomfort hang heavy. Slowly, their voice softened. Beneath the anger was grief, fear, and a deep need to be seen. Nothing about their situation changed, but the space around it did. And in that space, it became clear that my presence was all that mattered. That experience helped me see resistance differently, not as force, but as attention, not as reaction, but as loving kindness. So many parts of our world thrive on our fragmentation. They benefit when we're reactive, divided, outraged, and exhausted. A resistance fueled only by urgency and anger doesn't often threaten those systems, but it does ultimately weaken us. Presence interrupts that cycle. It grounds us. It reconnects us to our shared humanity, and it creates the conditions for genuine action. So my own archetypes of resistance, one is the healer, the part of me that moves toward suffering, to be with, not fix. Compassion here isn't dramatic or heroic. It's simply loving presence. The other is the witness, the part of me that refuses to look away. Harm and injustice depend on silence. To stay present, to name what is happening, and to hold it in view is resistance. So maybe that's where I land, a UU Buddhist learning how to let go of the resistance that creates suffering so I can practice the kind that interrupts it. Thanks. Stay warm and safe, folks.
Thank you, Daniel. Powerful sharing. And lastly, we have Jasine.
Good morning. Writers hold a special place in times of resistance. They can be reporters or poets, artists or filmmakers, authors or historians. No matter the format, they're all storytellers and draw from the real world when creating products with messages or facts they wish to be heard, messages that, especially in times of strife, they feel cannot be left unspoken. I didn't start sharing my own stories till recently because for the longest time I felt that I had nothing to contribute and there would always be someone who would tell the story better. That feeling of being less than has pushed me for much of my life, making me feel like I have to prove that my voice is worth being heard by the rest of the world. I'm the daughter of an immigrant, so the recent happenings of the world are always with me. The stories from Trump's first administration still are. The stories told around my cousin's kitchen table, the stories told at baptism after parties and at quinceañeras, the stories told in my own home. I was young and I hardly knew what was happening, but I still remember the unease and the tension in the air. It's worse now, though. I'm old enough to see that this time. Thinking of how I take part in resistance felt like an impossible ask. When people talk about resistance, I think of the civil rights movement or the recent No Kings protests. My mind goes to the news breaking and the earth moving, not the quiet and the local. I remember in 2020 when the Black Lives Matter protests were happening and how desperately I felt I needed to do something even though I was only 13. I remember when the war in Ukraine broke out and I had that same feeling. And then again when the war in Palestine began. I can only do so much, but taking the time to listen and to educate others using the stories I have heard is better than trying to live in ignorance and do nothing at all. Something I've learned in storytelling is that the small details, the simple stuff, though you may not realize it, brings stories to life, brings them off the pages, and makes them living, breathing things. For those of us who may not be able to protest or are too young to sign petitions, for those of us who can't participate in walkouts or sit-ins, for those of us who can't risk the target that comes with loud public resistance, the small acts can mean risking everything. I'm the daughter of a Mexican immigrant, and I refuse to hide that fact. I tell people the stories I've heard firsthand and the ones I've only learned about online. It may not always be well, but I'll always tell them with conviction. And it may be few, but I will tell every story that I know because I refuse to hold my tongue before injustice. Thank you.
Powerful, Jasine. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jasine, and thank you, Daniel and Sarah, for your courage and generosity in sharing these personal reflections with us. Truly, you have uplifted and expanded us through your powerful sharing. Thank you. Jasine, I deeply resonate with your journey of growing into your voice, going from feeling like you have nothing to contribute to lifting up the voices of others through their stories, and in doing so, telling your own. Thank you for lighting the way for others to find their voices too. Daniel, your inquiry into how to resist without creating suffering is a powerful one. The questions you rose stuck with me. What if resistance doesn't begin with opposition, but with grounding presence? What if the transformative resistance starts not by pushing against reality, but by staying present to it? Let us keep these questions near our hearts so we can practice the kind of resistance that eliminates suffering without generating more of it. Thank you, Daniel. And Sarah, I love your recognition of how your role as the cook not only provides inclusive nourishment for the community, but also creates time and space for the deeper conversations that bind us closer together and that move our work forward. Thank you, Sarah, for your nourishment. As we do our own reflection on the messages we have heard today, I encourage you to find the archetypes that best match your lived experience. Are you the writer, the cook, or the healer, like our friends who shared today? Perhaps you are the musician who brings us songs that help us feel our deepest feelings, healing our sorrows and pulling us into dance. Or perhaps you are the neighbor, someone who checks in on the people in your community, ensuring our community's needs do not go unmet. The link to Satya Doyle Byock's article is available in the comments. Find the roles you already play in your life and examine how you are already playing a vital part in the resistance movement. Rather than minimize your contribution, as many of us so often do, look for the ripples of your impact spreading out into the community. Who did you touch with your service today? How are your efforts expanding possibilities for others? What is possible now that wouldn't be possible were I not playing this role? What would my community be like were I not in this role? I invite you to sit with these questions and paint yourself the full picture about the difference you already make simply by being who you already are. Sit with this for a while. Take it all in and let it impact you. Get a clear picture for yourself of who you really are. There is being and there is becoming. In Buddhist non-duality, they are two sides of the same coin, each essential aspects of what it means to be a human being. So often we are focused on becoming, who we want to be, and what difference we have yet to make. This is vitally important. However, we sometimes focus on becoming so much that we forget to appreciate who we are already. And if we do not fully appreciate ourselves, then all efforts at becoming are likely to come from a sense of lack rather than an authentic expression of who we are. So before you jump into the inquiry about how you can move more fully or live more fully into your role in the resistance, I invite you to be fully present with yourself and fully own your part. Then let who you already are call you forth into action. Let us extinguish our chalice and share our benediction. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And please join me in singing our benediction. We will keep a place for you wherever you may go. We'll sustain this home of faith and love you've come to know. Go in peace, bring hope to hearts that yearn. We will keep a place for you till you return. And now, may the Spirit of life hold you, may love bless you, and may joy find a place in your days. Love to you all. Go in peace.